So I experienced hail for the first time yesterday. Is that embarrassing? I don't know.
That is a little
Ever?
embarrassing. Wait,
Ever.
you guys have like storms, big storms down there.
We don't get it in hurricanes. I've been in, I don't know, 10, 20 hurricanes. Never had hail.
You're not missing much.
It was exciting for me. I'm like, this is amazing. There's little ice balls flying through the sky. This is great. They're like the size of like an M&M.
Okay,
like M&M, a little bit bigger. Not like a gumball size.
Yeah.
But that'd be terrifying.
If you get to like golf club, then that's like what Becca just had. Becca had it.
She had that. She's in Iowa. See, that seems like an Iowa thing.
We would have this thing every time the hail would hit. You'd have these roofers come by and just slip.
Oh my gosh!
Great marketing. They slip their cards and be like, "Do you need a new roof? Did you, claim hail damage on your insurance?"
You're saying, you're making homeowners insurance go up because you're looking for every little thing. It's shenanigans. That's crazy. But it was fun. I'm like, what is that noise? It was tick, 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 hitting the windows. I'm like, Carson, what are you doing? Let's go outside. Let's go get the hail. It was fantastic. Then it went away. I'm like, what the world was that? Like, this is crazy.
You know what? Yeah, as long as
it just stops abruptly.
As long as they're small.
Yep, it stopped, and then it was sunny like 5 minutes later. So that's Florida in the summer. It's great.
I feel like every time I visited, it'd be like 3 p.m. on the dot where it's like, and it's raining.
It literally just did that. It's 3:48 right now. It rained from like 3 to 3, a little after 3:30, and now it's perfect outside. So this is when you go to the beach. It's all about timing. We have to time everything. So like we're going to time the market buying a new house. No, we're not. Of course. Never. Who can guess what's going to happen? Like interest rates going up, right? Like they're still going up, hitting 7. Who would have thought that? I think we all kind of thought like, okay, it has to get worse
before it gets better. Hopefully, I mean, I'm just speaking that into existence.
Yes. Well, things will always get better. Things will get worse. I guess that's true. Well, should we get started for today?
Yeah.
Let's get started. Welcome to episode 282. I'm Andrew Peak, the self-proclaimed ad doctor. And with me today is Beth Russell and Jackie Lipinski.
Hello.
Hi.
Maybe I've talked about this way in the past, but one day I was like, okay, if we all had nicknames, what would all the nicknames be? And then it got way too intense of a conversation because I was like, Jackie of all trades. And I was like, okay, that doesn't really...
For like superheroes or something.
Yeah. I was like, all right, yours is actually fitting.
There's a term for that, like an actual term for that. It's going to escape me now.
Oh no. Like choosing your own nickname?
Factotum.
Factotum.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, fun little fact. It's like it means you're not necessarily a master, but you can do all the things, sort of. I don't know. We'll have to Google it later. But factotum. Word of the day.
I'll update it the next podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, doing all the things extremely well is very valuable. Doing all the things extremely poor, then you're the what's that? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yeah. So, there's more to that phrase though.
Is there more? What's the next sentence? I like the Instagram version of that quote. That's it. The chopped up version. We'll have a quick little story time. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started on story time. This literally happened today. Woke up this morning. We've been working on verifying a Google ad account for like 2 or 3 weeks now. Google usually is pretty quick. Like you compare Facebook to Google and you're like, man, Facebook is miserable. You can't even find that chat button sometimes to start to talk to Facebook support. At least Google, like usually it's 24-hour responses, like up to 24-hour. This has been like miserable. Like my last contact was on Thursday. You follow up over the weekend. No response. The deadline was today, 25th, to get it verified. And we had some challenges like with the builder partner, which is fine. Like we're there to help. Yeah. So we're going through that. Woke up this morning, ad account. It's not disabled, but it's like ads temporarily paused until ID is verified. So we found a workaround for it, but like, oh my goodness, like the workaround, like I was tied up all morning on this webinar, this. Beth over here and Bryce knocked it out and getting like new accounts set up and all that. But get your accounts verified. It can be a pain in the butt. Usually it's easy. I don't know why this one, they were just being difficult for whatever reason. But remember, get it done or the ads will 100% be turned off like they were today. But now they're on 5. So we had like 6 hours of downtime.
I would say the flip side of that too is if you receive an email saying your ads will be paused, this is going to be
They're not joking around.
Well, they're not joking around, but also know that the spamming phishing people also know that these are being sent. So you need to check that from email because we've also had people who've been recently, I feel like last month or month and a half where they're like, is this real? Like, no, don't click on that link. I think you guys did the best thing where you're like, and I went into your ad account because you got this notification, but not clicking that link in the email. And I can see that yes or no, that did occur. Cause I know you caught that, Beth, for another builder. And you're like, yep, that actually was crazy. A little blip. So we will, we caught it and they thought it was potentially spam. So that was nice.
Another reason to have access to all of your accounts, because you can go in and check and save from possible spam.
Yeah, check it all. It's like, don't trust anything that comes through your email. That's a link. I think it's maybe the lesson learned. At least I don't. Maybe it's just a generational thing. Like, nope, they're trying to get me. Like, I don't trust anything out there. So, Beth, what do you have?
Mine is kind of fun. My husband and I had a conversation earlier today that I just thought was really interesting, because we were talking about the difference between leadership and mentorship. And obviously leadership is a big topic within the military world. So it's something that comes up a lot between the two of us, having both served in leadership positions. And honestly, he's like my biggest mentor when it comes to being in a leadership position. But when you think about the two, a lot of the qualities and the responsibilities that are attached to each title, if you will, are similar, and there's a lot of crossover. But I think like not every leader is a mentor, and not every mentor needs to necessarily be a leader. And your leader doesn't need to be your mentor, and your mentor doesn't need to be your leader. And so we just kind of like dove into that conversation a little bit, and like just to remind people the importance of finding a mentor, but also being a mentor, and like what that responsibility actually means. Because there's people, he was telling a story of someone he knows, a colonel who said to someone else that like, I didn't have mentorship. And the person thought that they had provided mentorship, but they didn't. And so what does that actually look like, right? And I think a lot of times in mentorship, you have to weave in some empathy, because you have to have that person's individual needs be at the forefront of like your conversations and your advice, and you're walking through tough times with them. Like you have to think of everything through their point of view and how they're absorbing it, and have that empathy versus your own biases. And sometimes in a leadership position, not only do we have our own biases, but we also have maybe the biases that are implanted on us from like a corporate level, from another leader in the organization or something like that. So you have to really look at it different. And that's why having a mentor in your life can be so incredibly impactful, because they're always going to approach the conversation with a little bit more empathy and what might be best for you from a holistic standpoint, moving forward.
That's true. I want to challenge you and have uncomfortable conversation right now, Beth. So this is good.
I love uncomfortable conversation.
I'm just kidding. Trying to be a smart person.
Did you see my face? I was like, bring it.
Bring it on. A smart beep. Mm-hmm. Your mentor, if you have one, should not be your leader, quote, leadership. Right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree with that? I guess.
I think you can look at your leader as a mentor and pick and establish a safe relationship like that. But I think there's times where that person has to play either role, where they have to be a leader and they can't be a mentor.
Or they turn into manager versus leader, which we're doing all these terms when it's like, aren't these kind of the same? Like it's very, leader would be like, maybe they inspire action, like you to do things. Manager would be like, what are you doing in this moment, this week, this month? Let me assist you in getting these things done, or forcing you along this path to get things done. And then the mentor would be more like, let me connect with you on an emotional level, not emotion. Yeah, emotional, that's the right word, but I think people couldn't misinterpret that. Like, why do you want to do these things? Why are you not doing these things as far as furthering your career? Why are you at the office from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m.? You have a family. What is wrong with you? That type of thing like that. So could be all in the same, could be all different people. But I feel like boundaries wise, it'd be great if you have a mentor that you could then talk transparently. That the person who could be responsible for your income or your career path shouldn't know certain things.
Yeah.
Not saying you're hiding or lying or being deceitful, but like that could open up, that could be awkward or whatever. Maybe like, oh man, my boss or my manager. It's like, hey, you're talking about me. I know, but you're my mentor right now, but I want to talk to you about when you're my manager. But here's a hat that says safe space.
Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from. And I think what's interesting that my husband brought up that I really appreciated was that not every mentor has to be someone who quote unquote outranks you or is further along their career in terms of ranking. It could be someone, one of his biggest mentors, technically within the scheme of the Army, like an officer outranks a warrant officer. One of his biggest mentors was a warrant officer. And your mentor could be your peer. It just has to be someone that you have, like you said, Andrew, that safe place to confide in and who's going to give you sound advice and look at things through your point of view, with empathy and with honesty, having that candid conversation.
Tough love.
I think it's identifying that root cause that drives you and that listening aspect too. And that's, I think what I'm getting from what you're saying is like, it has to be a person who's not just like spew and they're just telling you what you need to hear. It's the person who's creating like almost a chameleon, like characteristic of, I know that we need to adapt in this way for you, and we're going to learn together, and we're going to and kind of reflect what that needs to be and look at. So that's awesome. My story time is kind of similar to that, and I know we kind of talked about that, Beth, because we were just talking about, now that you've been here and we can see I always like to call them the echoes in people and the echoes in the market, what is regularly occurring. We talked about, I know you and I, what are the skills of a highly effective marketing director? Because it's not necessarily also the same as a mentor, but it is someone who needs to inspire, encourage, and lead. And so I spent a couple of days just thinking about what does it take and what are the skills to be a highly effective marketer. And Andrew and Beth, I just want to get your opinion on them, and I'll run through them and let me know if anything sticks out. But I thought first, you need to be a forever student. And I think that's where you were alluding to too, Beth, is like you even higher up, you usually have someone who's giving you advice. Even the president has people who are advisors to him, because you're not, no one knows everything. And no one should be expected to know everything. So forever student and just continued education, no matter what that looks like, books on the side, finding that person who inspires you or just finding the root cause of what does that. And then also you just have to educate your team. You have to be a person who loves knowledge, but then also can articulate what you're learning, why there's value in it, because what is it? PBS is saying knowledge is power. That it really is. So you need to just make sure everyone is in the loop. The whys of why we do things are being explained, especially in marketing, which I think a lot of people we're so good at seeing things in our mind's eye, and then expressing it can be difficult. But highly effective marketers I see are really good at explaining, and they understand sometimes I need to write it. Sometimes it needs to be visual. Sometimes it's a quick recording of what I'm showing you, because I know that's how you process it. So that educational, educating the team is a second one. Third one I would say is clear lines of communication. I know you had a really good, that's what I see at larger builders. You have to have that really good line of communication of just making sure everyone's in the know of what is happening at all times. And if that's weekly, monthly, quarterly reports, and just making sure who needs to know what and at what level is extremely important. Fourth one, I'll be selfish because I know this is important to me.
Be selfish.
For marketers. You need to be able to analyze struggling communities, whether it be the market proof algorithm that we provide. And if you don't have it, email show@doconvert.com, or some other type of metric tracker that you do, but you need to know your metrics. And that's not even like a question. It hurts when someone's like, well, I don't really know how to find that. No. No,
and we're not saying like memorize it on the back of your hand every day.
Know where to find it.
Yeah.
You know how to dive in. Fifth one, they are not data hoarders. So even if they have access to it, they know how to share it. They're shared documents. They're not afraid to share information within their team, because again, that's going to raise up and empower the people who are in these roles and also who are under you to get educated. So I always think of a dragon hoarding their gold. Don't be that marketer being like, you can't see my stuff. You have to share. 6-1, confidently and quickly take action based on that data. So it's not enough to just know your data. It's enough you need to be able to create proactive and reactionary items from that data to make quick decisions. And especially, I think that's the benefit of even being a smaller builder is you can pivot faster because you can get that data quicker. And that's usually smaller builders I know, and marketing directors are always like, oh, I'm not as good. I'm like, no, you can be better because you can pivot faster. And the marketing directors who take advantage of that, love. They hold themselves accountable and to high standards. Beth and I have the problem of, and Andrew, we joke like, yeah. And I think Kevin brings it up too. Like you always think you're about to get fired. And that burn of always thinking you need to be better than yesterday, I think is what creates very good, anxiety inducing marketers. But that's a skill I think a lot of us really need and need to continue. And you need to have that self-driven drive for all of these skills.
Can we unpack that one a little bit? I think another way, I was just thinking about that loud because that sounds like,
how do we spin up? Don't have anxiety.
Like, you guys need some counseling. It sounds like if I'm listening, like,
I mean,
we have a very healthy work environment here.
Very do you convert? What's wrong with you? I think I think another way I'm like, oh, this is maybe like a more friendly way to say it is that you don't take success from April of 2023 or even 2 weeks ago as like, I'm good. Like I could coast. Like I did that a month ago.
Yeah.
Like it's like you don't have to prove yourself every day. Like you're like, what I did yesterday doesn't matter. But to some extent, it's like what I did a year ago really doesn't have any merit on my position here. Like I'm still not like me having success last year and whatever I did is not going to keep me here for this year or keep me here for this week. I still need to prove my worth and value every single day. So it's like this fine line of like, I want to make sure everyone knows I'm a badass. Like I know what the heck I'm doing.
Yeah.
But I'm also doing this because in my heart, I truly know like what I did last week really shouldn't keep me employed. What I'm going to do this week is what's going to do it, or next week and the week after.
Yeah.
Maybe that's saying the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you said it in a healthier way.
Maybe.
Versus we're just shooting it straight over here on our side.
No, we're blunt. I would say so. And then the next one would be you have to use your critical thinking to say yes and no. Sometimes leadership above
no
you
word. Yeah.
Will
the complete sentence.
It is.
Yeah. No is a complete sentence,
like
but also sometimes you do need to explain. And that comes back to the clear lines of communication of why that's good, why that's not. And especially when other people come into your organization, sometimes they try to prove themselves or make recommendations
all the time.
All the time. So, and we see that. So but again, not that you have to justify everything that you do, but sometimes you need to show them why that would work, why that wouldn't work, and give more explanation. And then I don't have 10, I only have 9, but I'm sure I can expand. But
let's just keep going.
Understanding the value of networking within the industry would be like the closer of, I think you too, Beth, where it's like not your coworker, but someone you should look up to, someone you could spit ideas off of.
How you find your mentor.
Yeah. And is that another person in the industry? Is that, another builder's marketing director? Just make sure to have those connections. And we were just joking about this upcoming online sales and marketing summit that's happening in Texas in September, where there's this cocktail hour. And then the goal of the cocktail hour is for you to make connections and go to dinner and have these very candid, casual conversations about what you want to achieve. And that is, don't go to your room and read a
no, don't go to your
watch
room.
The Office. Like you need to have these
Sounds
conversations.
Good though.
But you need to take advantage of, these moments that can change and pivot your career in positive ways, and especially who you surround yourself with, going back to what Beth was saying. So really just capitalize on those moments and put yourself out there, because that is extremely valuable for growing in your own industry and in your own role as a marketer.
I'd say that's important too. On the more connected you are and your team is, in theory, the higher level talent you can attract and acquire as far as you're looking to fill a position, and no one knows about you, no one knows about your team, no one knows about anything of what you do. That might be a challenge in getting like top talent that you're looking for. So
yeah, absolutely. And what I love most about this list, if you look at some of them at the surface level, is they all have this intertwined commonality of humility. Like you have to be humble and you have to be like, okay, I don't know everything. I'm not strong at everything. You have to network and surround yourself with people that know more than you, who are smarter than you, who might be able to help you find the solutions. You need to humble yourself and decide when is appropriate to say yes or no. And, find ways to get creative and problem solve. And so there's definitely like that essence of their being that is at the foundation of them being who they are and successful within their careers.
Oh, so I'm going to throw a 10th one in there with written down, but it goes with you. There is a marketing director I asked to be a guest on the podcast because what I believe she does best is she asks all the right questions. And I think that goes back to like the discovery element.
It's because she knows her stuff. Like
she doesn't know her stuff.
Well, like she
wants to learn the stuff.
She does, but I think she knows enough of the systemic, how things work at a systems level or high level to be like, oh, this is a good question because I understand these things surrounding it versus like a question out in left field. Like
there you go. Andrew, hot seat. How did she get to learn all those things?
Because she asked the questions and she's also humble and she wants to learn. She's a student forever. Which interesting is the thinking on the opposite side. Marketing directors that don't have this and I give marketing a hard time. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Like we compare.
I like your opinions of it.
We compare certain jobs. Let's do sales to marketing. If you're not selling homes, you can't sell. You won't stay in that position. At least I hope not. Or you're in the process of being worked out. Yeah. If everyone else is selling, you're not selling, you're getting worked out, right? Or like maybe only the last 4 months count towards like your sales. And I've seen programs do that, which is really interesting. Or if a tradesperson, they don't know how to use said tools, subs, they won't get hired. Marketing, I think we could get away with a little grayness of it because it's hard to manage. That's where I think the marketing director or whoever's leadership is so crucial because if they don't know what they're doing, if they're not always learning, they don't know the technical things, they don't know number 4, they don't know their metrics, they cannot hire the right people. And then not saying the whole department is not useful, but then they're hoping for this unicorn of a marketer to come in and kind of like
save the day,
that's superhero. So that director position, like you find someone, I guess this would be sort of owners and leadership. You find a great marketing director. Like I feel like that is so valuable, extremely valuable because you have the wrong person in there. Everyone else is not helpful in the slightest.
Yeah, the cookie crumbles, right? Like that's the way Kevin's loving those cooking analogies, those restaurant analogies. And I think that's, poignant in this situation of like, if you have the wrong baker putting the ingredients together, the cookie's going to crumble.
It's going to crumble. And we don't always want crumble cookies.
No.
Although
it's too much icing.
I was going to say, if it's Andrew.
No, it's too much icing.
There's better ones. If you're ever in Orlando, we're going actually Builder Show 2026. It's the next time it's in Orlando. We're going to Gideon's at Disney Springs. I'm buying cookies I'll spend $400 on cookies. They're amazing. I'm committing to that.
Is that 5?
Someone record it and you said this in 2023.
You said that.
Olivia's going to hold you accountable.
Contractual.
Yeah, keep that screenshot and everything. Let's see. Should we go on to news? Is there anything summit related? Is it sold out?
Oh man.
Is there like half a ticket left?
So we sold out of all the half price tickets. We are at, I would say, max capacity. By the time you hear this, the website might be updated to join the wait list.
Nice.
Things do happen in the industry sometimes where it's like, hey, I'm like, for me, my first summit I'm missing because I'm having a baby.
I love it.
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm like, stream it live for me. My little heart is going to hurt. Like, I'm so sad.
We'll set up a private page for only you to watch.
Thank you. Thank you. But things happen.
Access to it.
Sometimes people can't come last minute. So join the wait list. But it is, again, a highly condensed, phenomenal event that we hope any person who goes regularly and knows the value of it. But yeah, we're almost sold out and it's going to be fun. And we're at the back end planning all the cocktail hour details and
anything crazy. So. Someone messaged me and said, I heard there's a 2-way petting zoo where you pet the animals and they pet you back. Is that true?
Not at this time. but
it's not true. I'm making that up. But there's some great guest speakers. Isn't like looking at the list that I'm not going to talk about out loud. I'm not talking about it out loud. Yeah. I'm not talking about it out loud, but I'm like, oh snap! I'm excited. I'm excited. I just want to attend, but I'll be speaking something. But yeah, it'd be really cool. Awesome. On to the news.
Really on to the news, yeah.
Yeah, we'll go on to the news now. I figured we have to talk about the summit for a second. Yeah, let's see. First one up from our own Sarah Zimmerman. It's on GA4. Who's excited for GA4? I am actually excited now because I've been using it more and more. And what I also decided, if Google were to just like kind of ease this change onto us, no one would really care. Yeah. Because they made such a big deal about it. It's like, oh my gosh, like what's going to happen? Like the technical things are important, and that's why they had to make a big deal about it. But if they're like, hey, by the way, page views is now called views. Okay, thanks guys. Like that's cool. But because I made a big deal, it feels so much more stressful and like all this anxiety and just like anxious.
Well, then when you log in, there's like a countdown now where it's like goodbye.
Oh geez, yeah, it's goodbye. Like do this or doomsday or you're dead. This is like you need to do it. So here's the first one from Sarah, the Home Builder's Guide to GA4 Acquisition Report. So this goes over the acquisition section of GA4, which is how we acquire traffic. It's a great read. You really need to go in there, and there's screenshots all over the place. She compares GA4 to Universal Analytics. And hopefully once you go on there, you will realize like, oh, it's just different looking. It's not different. What I compared it to, I had a like a webinar on this earlier today with a builder partner. And it's like you have I had a picture of a 2002 Toyota Camry or Honda Accord, like a normal car that probably a lot of people have been in or owned. And you know where all the buttons are. You could drive and like, I want preset 4 for my radio. That's 93.3. I want preset 1, et cetera, et cetera. Here's my CD player. Like you could put a CD in without looking at it. It's memorized. And then you go to a Tesla, which, Beth, do you have a Tesla still? I know you had one at some point.
I just drove it for the first time today in a while. And I was like, oh gosh.
Oh gosh. Yeah. One, you have to get used to how it drives, but like the screen itself, I rented one in Phoenix at the last summit just because I've never driven one and it was so cheap. I'm like, this isn't worth it, whatever. Like even changing the air temperature or turning it up, it's kind of annoying because it's all touchscreen. You can't just drive 10 and 2, got to be safe. Like
moving the direction of like how the air flows. You have to like use 2 fingers. I'm learning new things constantly.
Annoying. And that's what I feel like GA4 interface is. Like not only is it new and different, but you're like, why didn't they just put a button right there? Like they did in the Honda where you're like, oh, radio on, power, AC, turn it up. Just turn it to the right. It feels very much like that. It looks cool, but once you use it, you're like, ugh, get out of here.
Yeah, and it feels like, because it feels so unnatural to you, you feel like you're taking 10 extra steps when in reality, you might actually be taking 1 less step. But it feels like so much more because it's just so...
Your brain's like, friction. This is not what I want. And we've used the same... And I think they'll change it over time. Like how old is Google Analytics, Universal Analytics? I don't know. Let's just say 12 years. So they've been improving it for 12 or X number of years. GA4, here it is, brand new. It's coming out. There is going to be quite a few little bugs and usability things that they'll have to tweak. So, but great article. It's on the site. There will be more, a whole lot more.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, quite a bit. Let's see. What's to go next? We want to talk about the mortgage talk.
We can briefly talk around that. I think so from CNBC.com, mortgage demand drops again as rates cross back over 7%, which hasn't been seen since about March. So obviously, I think all builders are kind of feeling this. And maybe it's, I would say, even on our end, we have a Slack channel and we're like, are builders asking for more this week? And it just seemed like everyone was like, there has been a shift in the market. And looking at our home builder data report here, and I'll share my screen if you're watching on video.
Oh yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it. So I would say last couple of weeks, we finally hit this. We had this kind of like plateau of leads and plateau of web traffic almost for the last few months since about February 12th. But now we are starting to see that decline. And is that in correlation with the rates? Potentially. I think there's a lot of things happening.
I feel like it has to be.
Yeah. And that's why maybe everyone's kind of feeling it. It's like summer break happened or is happening. Yeah. So
my kids are out. They got out yesterday. Julie's, I think, the week before, Louisiana.
Yeah. So it's like, it's that going on. And we had Mother's Day, a couple little holidays, and then the rates going up. So every time we kind of see this shift we see it reflected in the data of website traffic and conversions on builders' sites. And usually, I think we say we give it about 2 weeks to see how the market reacts most effectively to that news. So I would say we're probably still a week out from seeing like the long-term impacts. But obviously, I would say how I'm seeing some builders who maybe have been able to think forward with that this could be coming. And if you're a builder being like, what else can I do? I'm seeing a lot of builders kind of strip some selections out of houses to make their homes more affordable, to be able to kind of come back to that price point as if the mortgages were slightly lower. And not to say every builder even has the opportunity to do this, but that does seem to be working well, and continue consistent sales is trying to be in that sweet spot of lower costs than your competitors in the same market. And if that's even just offering, like maybe take out some windows, maybe take out the upgrades that were included in the house, that does seem to be a proactive stance that builders are taking to make sure they're still able to acquire buyers. Any other thoughts on that?
Definitely. I think that was the NAHB had a giant chart they put up. Essentially, it put the total monthly payment, mortgage, tax, insurance, and the number of people that can't afford that based off of, I think might have been census data. So like that's where like it's factual, like, okay, the rates are at 7%. Here's now who could afford the median house or XYZ price point. So as they go up, there will be, just facts alone, like there's less people who can't afford the home, which to Jackie's point, like if we can like bring it down as if the rates are 6.5, I think we'll see more buy down incentives if it sticks to around 7.
The builders I know who are doing buy down incentives are, they're re-engaging their old interest lists and just or people who've come out. It's like, hey, we can still lock you in at these prices. Hey, I know that this might be a concern of yours now when we talked a month ago, but now look, like that's happening over there, but we're safe in this little box. So if you still buy in this box, we can help you. So that seems to be an efficient tool that teams are using at this time.
Yeah. And I think that's a good thing. Like it's a reminder for them to go back to those lists of people that they have in existence. And one thing that I'm seeing are the builders that maybe haven't been putting as much focus on their inventory. They weren't like push. Now they're like, okay, it's time to offload. What can we do to promote these more? Because we really need to get these out there. So I think that's really interesting. And then a big positive that I'm seeing about this is the interest in builders, marketers wanting to really intimately know who their demo is. They're really curious about what type of personal messaging is going to resonate, what kind of content, what kind of whatever is going to make. There's a lot of just good curiosity that is shifting our marketing tendencies in the and it's really fun to watch. There's the builder in North Carolina who his knowledge of his demographic is just unmatched, and he can describe this person, and it's not just it's like multiple people, but he can describe each of them so eloquently and so perfect, and he knows exactly the type of tone that he needs to use in his marketing in order to attract them. And it's like that knowledge base, like really maybe we should add that in actually in our list from earlier, Jackie, but that knowledge base of who your demographic is and really knowing how to pivot best for your demo is going to make you stand out amongst the pack.
Definitely. Like if
it does. Go ahead. I was going to say, it does concern me sometimes where I'm like, how many of your buyers are relocating? And a marketer goes, I don't know.
Yeah, those are metrics you should know. Like that's I think with GA4, tying this to GA4, the capabilities we will be able to have with more easily creating events to track certain things on the website. I think then, like say, for example, we're tracking available homes views or clicking on people that click on move-in spec homes. Well, if we don't know how many spec homes are available on a weekly basis, or we're not connected, then that metric is useless because that metric is influenced by the availability of how many homes are on the website that are readily available for sale. So if it goes up and down, we're like, oh shoot, no one's looking at these homes that are available. Well, there's half the homes this week versus last week because we sold half of them. And so you have to be able to normalize the data. I think, connecting the two together with GA4 is going to be crucial. I was going to add, like if you like knowing your demo, the average buyer, like if they're renters and you're not talking about renting versus buying, which for some reason, I don't know if builders are nervous around that. Maybe there's like some like legality of, or to me, no, it's there's not that. It's
sometimes,
like,
I mean,
you have to commit to saying something.
Honestly, sometimes it's like, we just can't compare, like our houses are still significantly higher, but the ones I am seeing, or if they have townhouses, I have seen a few builders. This is like the fun episode where if you get to listen, like, I feel like you're just writing notes. Ideally, marketer listening to this.
Yeah.
Hint, wink, wink.
Or maybe it's on the salesperson to talk that, like, renting is 100% interest. Quote, right?
Yeah. But I was going to say, doing what we've been oddly seeing work for some people in certain markets, not for everyone, even was like postcard marketing again, which we don't always encourage, but we're like, have you tried this? Because that your mortgage is still beating the rates of rental things right now. And they're like, wow, we had someone come in and it did work. So just trying new things and speaking to that targeted market. I think
here, I'll apply that one in real life. So that was someone's like, well, how would I do this? Every door direct mail, EDD, what if they're not familiar with it?
Yeah.
There's a builder maybe half a mile from me. They're building these really nice looking townhomes. Golfwind Homes, they're a small builder in my area. Golfwind Homes, are you listening? Golfwind Homes.
Shout out.
Shout out. Their homes, they build a beautiful product. Looks really nice. Their internet and digital side, 0 out of 10. But they also build in really good locations. They don't have to do anything, sort of. But there's also a mile east of them, really nice brand new apartments that are $2,200 to $4,000 per month, which is just what it is to rent. Like where I'm at, like a 1-1 studio is 22, whatever. It's crazy. So that's what 22 times 12. How much is that loss per year to rent? 25 grand. You go up to 4 times 12, 48, $50,000. Someone's wasting renting when that could have been better, in my opinion, with a 7% interest rate is a whole lot better than losing $50,000. So if they were to do postcards to that apartment community alone, just that, I think there's only like 300 units in there, not that much money, or it's somehow like right there, get those people's attention. They might be able to sell out of the community if the timing's right, all this stuff, or at least have 3 or 4 sales. Like those people can afford it. That's the hard part. They can afford $3,000 per month. Can they get qualified for $3,000 per month? I don't know. That's not up to me, but to me, that's a perfect solution. Like, hey, we need to get that apartment complex because it's brand new. It's literally like a mile down the road, same school district, same everything. And we could sell those homes. So I want to see someone do that. That's not, if you're doing everything else first, then do that. That'd be the caveat.
That. That's like level C of that's experimental marketing.
That is innovation, always learning.
Innovation budget.
Yes. There we go.
All right, what's the next article here?
Next one.
Ice Age.
This was a long one. This one from businessinsider.com. The housing market's ice age. If you don't already own a home, you're going to be screwed for years to come. Sorry, you are screwed.
What I love about this article, though, and it's been a minute, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it ties into what we were just talking about. It's talking about you need those who have purchased, exactly, Jackie, what you've built for yourself. And if you've taken advantage of it, and we joked about earlier, there's no good timing of the market, right? And like you can't time the market. And so you just have to take your chance when you can and adjust later if it presents itself.
To me, a lot of this goes to like the timing of the market. Like this is almost a salesperson conversation who truly understands, not that they cannot, they shouldn't be advising on like, so you should run your finances. But let's say you buy a home now, 7% pricey thing. And then you're concerned like, well, what if it drops in value? What if this, like being able to answer those conversations, I think is probably extremely important now compared to like 2019 when it was just like, oh, I could afford it. Seems like a great value. Like there really wasn't as much concern with versus now they're like, well, I'll buy this house for $500K in a year. What if, is it worth 400? Am I now upside down 100,000? I think that's what people might be thinking. I mean, kind of like an uneducated view on it, like, or at 7%, that seems really high.
But again, you're thinking of that apartment, how much you were paying per year.
And that's where, like, I think those conversations are perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And if they could be in marketing and in sales conversation, I think that's amazing. Or even, is it better for that salesperson to have that on their own personal marketing?
I think it always goes back to building certainty around the home that you are selling, whether that's under construction, completed, and just making those buyers feel confident in their purchases. So, and while we say this, like the housing market's ice age, if you don't already own a home, but like they're reading these articles too. we have to understand that. And I think Zonda, if I'm not mistaken, or some that like there's certain companies that will track the feel of the news articles too, and just like what the news articles are consistently saying to feel for the echoes, because that does drive people to make decisions or pause, or if everything's like a recession might be happening, obviously people are going to pull back. So just being aware of what is in the market, what's being said is also, I think, a skill of marketers, of just feeling like, what do we think some objections might be? Because it's not always marketing's job to overcome objections. That's the sales team, but we have to be aware of the objections that might occur from people. So, and shifting their mindset in a positive manner, I think is what you were alluding to.
And I like that we have these conversations here and we talk about these like somewhat scary articles that can be a little bit anxiety inducing at times, because it's just life. And like going through a purchase, I joke all the time about our house that we're building right now. Like there's a chance we might not close on it. And it's that chance is related to risk. If we decide at the end, you know, the rates are too higher than our threshold that we have in our contract, then we have to evaluate the risk. But the important thing is that you educate yourself and look at all the different layers of the risk that Andrew was talking about in terms of the equity that you can build for yourself. And what does it look like if you don't do it and you rent instead, even if you can continue to afford it, like peeling back all of those layers and educating yourself on each one to help not only you make a sound decision as a purchaser, but as a marketer, as a business owner, as a salesperson, explaining each of those layers to help those that are maybe feeling a little bit of trepidation and build that certainty that you were talking about, Jackie.
Definitely. So I think we're getting to, we need more positive content from builders to counter it. Because I think people will read this when they're like truly in market to buy a home. But I think they're seeing these headlines, mortgage demand drops again. They're seeing these, like they're seeing just the headlines. And so they're getting like these billboard news articles just flying by them. And so then that sets the tone of like, I shouldn't really be even looking at a home right now.
It always reminds me of that. We had that story of like a marketer told us that they were going to do this testimonial with a buyer. She actually recorded the testimonial and then it was like, can you actually not put that up? Because she was embarrassed for people to think that she bought at the top of the market.
Oh yeah.
So there's also that. And this was
judgment
when it was not even, you know, like, but there's that fear of judgment too, of what other people are influencing them. So, sometimes you can't just sell to one person, you're selling to their friends and family too.
You got to cut through the noise. And I think like the more that we have these open conversations and we share, like people bring forward their personal experiences in tough markets. Like if she would have shared that testimonial and it could have resonated with someone else that was feeling the same level of like, oh, I'm embarrassed, but actually like, this is something I should be celebrating. Like put the positive stuff out there because it's still possible. There's still people that are interested and still buyers out there that need somewhere to live. So how do you make
right? And it's not always, I mean, here we are talking facts and numbers, but like the other side to this, which I think like all this is like, we need more content to counteract all these things is, you know, our home is more than just a house, right? It's where we raise our children. Like at our community, we have comfort and we're gated. Everyone has Ring cameras. There's only 24 houses. Half the houses have kids. Like I just heard our 6-year-old go outside, go across the street. I watched her on the camera while on the podcast, like, and it's a nice, safe neighborhood. So how much is that worth? If someone's like, man, you're an idiot, bro. You shouldn't have bought that house. I'm like, here's my life. Tell me about your life. Like I'm happy paying a $500 a month quote premium for my kids to be safe. They go in the front yard, the backyard, there's 20 other kids running around, all these sorts of things. And so that has tremendous value. So I think selling on those things, even that's hard at like the blog article level or like on the website.
Okay.
But you could go towards that.
Yeah. This is going to be
this is
going to be a super random thing. I'm going to bring up obviously being a pregnant lady, thinking about my kids growing.
Pregnant lady eating pickles.
Don't eat. No, it's peanut butter, but that's all.
And cheese.
I approve of peanut butter.
So much cheese. But
cheese,
what if like a model
avocado.
home? You go to a model home and it has like the notches on the door frame of kid heights.
I think that's beautiful.
And then it's like, okay, well, you know, the average person stays in a house nowadays 12 years and it's 12 years of your child's growth. Like I could just see like the waterworks.
And the little kid comes in like, here, our youngest, her name's Addie. Yeah. Like, Addie, like, and say the sales rep is familiar. Addie, go right here. Let's see. She stands there and it's like, you're going to live in the home until Addie's probably this height. Yeah. Like you could look at mom and dad and be like, yeah, she'll probably be this height. Like, that's how long you're going to be here. Like, so you should probably pick the floor you want.
Other people. Yeah.
This, yes. Like it's, I think that's, so you put emotion in it and then they get the emotion, which here we are. I feel like we're doing sales training right now. The emotion is a catalyst to start the decision. And then we need reason and logic to finish and actually execute what we're doing. And that's where then it's like, hey, if you're renting right now, right? Yeah, I'm renting. What's your rent? $3,000 a month. Okay. So how long do you plan on renting for? Well, until you afford a home. Okay. So if you rent for 2 years, that's $72,000 you just paid someone else. Yeah. Oh, 72. That's a brand new Tahoe. Like, shoot. Like, not that, I mean, or whatever you want it to be. So keep going and going. Should I be in sales? No, that'd be, I would be
I want
to
watch it for a day. Like,
no, I'd cry. I'd go home and cry and not talk to anybody because that's too much talking.
We're marketers.
Or I'd be like, no one visited me in my model home. I need more traffic, guys. That's rude.
That is what we hear though. You know, you hear these salespeople being deflative and they're like, no one's here. So that's also why it's like marketing and online sales and on-site sales.
I would be sending the OSC team like Starbucks every day. Like I'd be like, what do you guys want for lunch? Like, let me hook it up. Like, here's my treat the online sales team budget in my own personal budget. $500 a month. I don't know, whatever it may be. Like, you're my best friend.
Right there. That's your wisdom bomb for the day.
There you go. Bribe them. I mean, I don't know what every salesperson makes, but I think that can be afforded by most.
Budgeted. That's your
put it in there. Yes, just like the Starbucks budget. I'm drinking is put it in your budget.
I think we should skip this last one and then just go for favorites. So.
Yeah, there we go.
But I don't have a. Hurry, someone else go with favorites.
I have a good favorite because it ties in everything, and it's just ironic because we mentioned it a few times, but like the asking questions, like the people who ask questions, they are my favorite people. Yeah. And the cool thing is like, you know, we talked about it earlier about asking the right questions, but how do you learn to ask the right questions is you ask the not right questions. And like this fear of judgment that we just were talking about in purchasing, like, I feel like so many people don't ask questions because they're so scared of looking dumb, or they're like, oh my gosh, they're going to catch on that I don't know what I'm doing, that this is new to me and blah, blah. But like, you become so much better when you ask questions regardless of how they are. And then your next question will be better, and your next question will be better. And it shows that you care, and it shows that you want to learn and you're curious. And so I've just had a lot of really good questions lately, and some of them, and by good I mean like they're showing their passion. Yeah. And they're showing their passion, they're showing their desire to learn, they're showing that they're seeking out advice, whether, you know, for whatever reason. And those are the things that like ignite me being like, yes, like, good job. Like, thank you for being honest. Thank you for asking the question.
You could tell they've done their homework before the question. Yeah. Like, they're not asking a question because they don't know the answer because they're being lazy. They're asking it because they've answered these other questions likely on their own. And now they're like, they probably try to answer it. So they're truly coming to you. Like, I put my effort in. I need the question.
Or if it's maybe just a question of confirmation. Like, I just did that to Sarah earlier. I was like, this is right. Like, what I just did is right. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Because like sometimes you just need to verify that the work that you did or like the effort you put in was accurate. And that in itself is a good question.
Very true. Very true. Well, I was going to say my favorite is much simpler. Yeah. I switched drinks recently at Starbucks. So.
Oh, what is it?
It's a WCH space MAC space CRM space CV. That's a white chocolate macadamia cream cold brew.
Andrew, ever tell you my first job was Starbucks?
Like these acronyms on here.
I used to be a barista. At Starbucks? I had to manually write in every.
Oh, geez. Did you worked at the OG one, right? Or
no, because I was in Washington, or I
said that last time.
At the time. Yeah, I worked in one at like a grocery store, so it was like nice, that's cool. So people would come
like, sorry, we can't use the app.
Yeah, they're like, oh, can I buy this food here? I'm like, this is a Starbucks. No, like we're a store inside a store. Sorry.
You can buy this cake pop. Here you go.
I can feed you that.
I'll eat some cake pops.
But yeah, sometimes it's good. I like when you not just you specifically, but it's like changing up favorites and figuring.
Yeah, I've had the same drink for a long time, and I'm like, okay, and I'm like twice a week with Starbucks probably. So this was delivered to my office by my wifey here, like right for the podcast. She's like, "Do you want Starbucks?" I'm like, "Yes, please."
That is so sweet. Jackie, what's your drink at Starbucks? What's everyone's drink?
I just do a blended coffee frappuccino. Now it's half.
Okay.
So I used to do a caramel frap. It's just too much sweetness for me.
Yeah, it's too sweet for me.
Yeah.
But I can't do frappuccino.
I could do that sweet like every now and again. But usually, I'm like mixed, like right in between sweet.
I'm not an iced coffee girl. Like I'll drink it, but that's not what I order. Like I want that hot coffee. I guess it's like northeastern.
Give me frozen. I just love frozen. It could be the middle of winter. I'm like, where's my frappuccino?
No, here's my frozen one. I'll do hot in the morning. It depends where I'm at. If I'm like out, I like hot. If I've had this, I would have this for another 2 or 3 hours and put more ice in it to drink it. I just sip it. You can't do that with hot coffee. Even the little, I don't even think the little warmer things. I don't know. I don't see that making
when
it
I do a regular
same.
Coffee, it's half milk anyway. Like I'm just not.
Oh gosh.
I don't love the taste of coffee.
It's so funny because I feel like our coffees don't necessarily match our personalities. Well, mine's like very particular, so I guess that does match my personality. But
mine's just 50% milk. Like it grosses other people out. I'm like, this is fine. So
you're like, I like milk. It's great.
My favorite thing would be, I feel like, I don't know if it's like just having a second kid coming up or just, you have this tight timeline, and I have a scheduled C-section. So I'm like, very tight timeline. That's very specific now.
That is specific. That's crazy to me.
So I have, it's
your doomsday countdown.
I do have my own doomsday. But I'm feeling like, I just know I'm going to be out, and I just know how I process information, and I know I'm trying to catch up, but also stay informed. But one thing that's kind of helping me is I can play with my kid and like put my hair down, put my earbuds in, and listen to audiobooks and listen to things. But now, since doing that, I have become like an audiobook addict, or like just an audio addict, where I feel like how we were talking about, like, how do people just get information? Some people read the article, some people watch the video, and my favorite, there's an app called Speechify, which is a Chrome extension.
Speechify.
It will read long articles to you. I know we talked about even putting, like, sometimes you put ChatGPT of like, summarize this for me. But I feel like when I have it read to me, I can go, wait, hold on, pause. Let me reread that phrase. Like, I can re-identify the better points sometimes when I hear it said to me. And so I would just say Speechify. I think you can pay for a feature. But so far I've been using it for.
Can you change it to famous voices?
You can. I haven't done it. It's weird. Snoop Dogg. No, thank you. I'm just listening to some like little voice.
Does it do like
British
his dialect, or does it do?
No, it's just a celebrity. Like,
because that'd be amazing.
Voices are not. I would rather just have an obscure person. Like I don't feel
That's
like.
True.
Andrew wants Snoop Dogg.
I want Snoop Dogg, but I want an AI that can then take a sentence such as the Mortgage Bankers Association seasonally adjusted index of mortgage applications fell 4.6%. I want that to be snoopified and to however Snoop would say it. And you'd be like, that's actually how he would say it. This is amazing.
It's your favorite next week now.
It's like a deep fake. I just went on Speechify's Twitter and saw that. I'm like, you could change the name of it. That's pretty cool. So my trouble with doing that is I would literally be doing something with the kiddos, which they're older, so it might be a little different interaction with them. Like Addie's like, help me do cartwheels. And so it's just like, okay, am I helping? Am I not helping? What am I doing? I would just stop what I'm doing and be like,
listening, you mean? Or
listen? Yes, yeah, I would just
I'm
start.
The same way.
But that's the best, because
like I just pause there, like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, sorry, I was listening.
Yeah, I mean, like, I just feel like I don't want my son to see me on my phone all the time. So if I can,
that's true.
Like, it's in my pocket and I'm listening to it, but I can still pause it, and I'm engaged, and I'm still seeming engaged, because sometimes we're just drawing together.
All right. Well, thank you for listening. Don't forget to become a member for free of Deconvert's all access community app for home builders and developers. Watch behind the scenes videos from the podcast, frequent exclusive postings and analysis from the DYC team, access to private hangouts, and more. Until next time. See ya.
Yeah.